Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 6th episode of the Glutathione Experience podcast. And tonight I am extremely excited to interview Janice Salloch Bennett. And in our initial interview that we did, I was actually blown away with how much went on in Janice's life and her experience with glutathione. So I think you're going to be quite impressed with this interview. And I just want to state before we get started here that in no way, shape, or form are we doctors or clinicians of any kind, that we're not suggesting that leveraging glutathione, any kind of supplement, whether it's something that we use or a competitor's product or whatever, is of any kind of or should be considered as a cure or a treatment for any disease or condition. It merely is to elevate glutathione in your body, which is a critical molecule. And if you check with PubMed.gov on how many conditions the human body suffers from as a result of low glutathione, it just makes it really evident that it should be the one thing that you really supplement with. So just wanted to preface that up front, that we are not trying to present ourselves in any way, shape, or form as practitioners. That's not what we are. We're just here to expose how important this molecule is to everybody's health. So welcome tonight, Janice. It's absolutely a thrill to have you on board.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
To tell my story. That it's been 15 months that I've been religiously taking it, and I didn't realize, even just until recently, the difference it had made in my life. I'm still kind of shocked, and it's an incredible story. I can't hide from it any longer. I have to tell everyone.
Yeah, well, I'm on the short that we did as a prelim to this interview, I had put a couple of your pictures there before and after on, and on this video here, I've got to remember to put that last picture you sent me with you and BB the Billy Goat, the Miracle Billy Goat, because you look fantastic, and it was like, holy mac, that is not the same lady from that before picture at all, right?
Right, that's right.
Yeah, for sure. So
you look fantastic.
So you were I
have to help you a little bit. It's just to be clear, BB the Wonder Goat.
The Wonder Goat.
Not Billy Goat. She's a girl.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, right.
Well, that's right. Yeah, Billy's for the boys only, right?
Right. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So what do you call her, Betty then?
Important detail, right? Well, Bottle Baby.
Bottle Baby, right?
A Bottle Baby, and little baby, ooh, right? So.
Yeah. So going back a little while now, you had a bit of an experience with precursor type glutathione supplements, correct?
Correct.
And that was how long ago?
2021.
2021.
When I broke my foot. So
okay, about 3 years ago.
Yes.
Okay. And you were introduced to that supplement by Audrey, I take it?
By Audrey. Mm-hmm. So she had called and was looking for eggs, I believe. And I said, I'm in bed with a broken foot. And
Audrey said, I'll be right over.
Yeah. That was my introduction to glutathione. And
did you know Audrey before that, or was that your first meeting?
I met Audrey when I first moved up to the Bruce Peninsula.
Okay, so you knew her from.
Yeah, we met about 10 years ago.
We moved here around the same time. Yeah.
Right on. Okay, so you broke your foot, you were laid up, and your husband had to take on your duties and everything. So tell us a little bit about that story.
Well, leading up to the broken foot, it was the springtime. All the goats were pregnant. I had 12 pregnant goats at the time. All the incubators were filled with eggs. Chicks were starting to hatch. The greenhouse, I had all my seeds planted and they were starting to sprout. And I was working from morning till night. And in order to try to get some extra energy, I thought, I'm going to get up and do workouts every morning. So I had joined an online, free workouts, and I had done 187 workouts in a row, still hadn't budged the plateau I had been on for about 2 years. And I got up, put my exercise outfit on, walking down the stairs, rolled onto the edge of my foot, and it's called a Jones fracture.
Mm-hmm.
It's a kind of break where you are zero weight bearing because any movement on the ankle would re-break it. So it wasn't just you put an air cast on, it was you are non-weight bearing for 6 weeks and then air cast for another 6 weeks, like essentially 3 months before I could start standing on my own again.
Wow.
So it was very depressing, to say the least, like, to be in bed and want and need to do all these things, like a family to take care of, the goats, the chickens, the horses, the rabbits, the garden, and I couldn't even get myself a glass of water. I got home from the hospital, I had the crutches. I thought, I can at least prep salad. I can be useful still. I get a seat at the table. I go and I crutch over to the fridge and then realize I can't even carry the ingredients back to the table. I am useless. I need to go backwards on my bum all the way up the stairs to get to my bedroom. And that was about it. I rented a scooter to ride from my bedroom to the bathroom. And essentially I couldn't come downstairs. I couldn't do any of the things that I needed to do.
Wow. So you were talking about your previous level, or you had plateaued, and you're referring to your weight at that time, correct?
Weight. So yes, I had started my weight loss journey, maybe 8 years ago when I got married. And I went on keto, combination of different really strict diets and exercise, lost the first 55, thought, wow, I feel great, but then got stuck 190, 195 to in that 10-pound zone for 2 years. It just stopped, and no matter what I did, no matter how strict I was, no carbs, no starch, no sugar, no alcohol, no coffee, no pop, no
fun.
Thing. So, and I wasn't getting anywhere. And so I was going to the doctor and saying, why is my Fitbit saying I'm walking this much? And my carb manager is saying everything I'm consuming in a deficit, and I can't lose any weight. And she said, well, maybe that's your normal. Maybe that's, your body's used to being in that range since you were a teenager. So maybe that's just, if as long as you feel good and you're healthy and your blood pressure, you're just fine to be 195 pounds. And it was kind of frustrating. So here I was working out to try to break through this plateau and broke my foot. So it was kind of a give up point almost, because it's really upsetting not to be able to do the things that you want to do.
Well, it's demoralizing, right? When you're stuck, number one, and you can't break through the plateau, and now you have a broken foot and you can't even be useful on your farm, and so now your husband has to take over everything, right? So he had some challenges, and you had an issue with the billy and newborn billy goat, right? Or sorry, not billy goat. I did it again. A newborn baby goat.
Yes. So she was a twin that was essentially abandoned by the mother when the mother had the second baby. Hormonally abandoned, nothing personal, but because she wasn't standing up and thriving, failure to thrive, they try to put them out of their misery on their own. Because if you can't get up and run with the herd, you are essentially, if you're in the wild, you would be attracting predators. If you're not going to make it, we got to move along. So he got out to the barn and found this baby with the mom laying on top of it, flattened right to the ground. Barely any breath, barely any heartbeat. brought it back to the house and said, I'm in bed with my foot up on pillows. He brings this baby goat and says, you have to do something. And I said, what can I do? What am I going to do? I said, she's clearly past the point. Like, it's been, 45 hours with no colostrum. So her system hasn't started up. She's hypothermic, jaw clenched, like locked shut. So I couldn't even put my finger in her mouth to try to get a tube in or anything. Eyes rolled back. The only sign of life in her was the littlest movement of a nostril to say that she was still breathing. So I said, well, we just need to keep her comfortable. She's, sorry, it's not going to make it. And he said, wait, I'm not giving up. You got to get up out of bed. We're getting downstairs. We put her in a Ziploc bag in a sink full of warm water, essentially, to try to bring her body temperature back up. Brought her back up to bed with me, laying with my pillows, with a heating pad and a baby goat in my bed. And truthfully, she might not have survived if I wasn't able to spend that much time being her intensive care giver. And I needed something to do. Neither of us could walk. So the two of us really just needed each other so badly in that moment. And we both struggled. It took 2 weeks. And Audrey had brought me about 2 weeks that I had taken and thought, I don't know if it's really doing anything. Like, honestly, I don't know if it's helping me. Like, my foot is still broken. So I stopped taking it. Within 2 days, called Audrey and said, Audrey, like, I don't know where or who or how, but I need more. And noticed as soon as I started taking it again and the inflammation receded and I was back to being manageable, back to healing versus a panicking pain. Like, it was quite a panic when the inflammation returned. So I knew that this was something different than anything I'd ever taken in my life before.
That's actually often the experience. People get on some sort of glutathione supplement and they're taking it for a period of time. And when we feel good, we don't really think about it. We just go about our day. Yeah. And it's when we feel crappy that we go, oh, I need something, right? And so you get on glutathione, you start feeling really good, everything's clicking along, you go, well, I really don't think I feel it. And then you get off of it, and about 2 days later, you go, oh my God, get me some more of that, right? Yeah, it doesn't take long.
What happened? Audrey, hurry up.
Yeah, so with BB, I knew I was going to continue to take it. But as far as BB, she just wasn't coming along. It was a failure to thrive situation. Mm-hmm. That the vet had come twice. I was calling him and texting him on a daily basis. I'm super appreciative of my vet and his advice. But we had tried every kind of traditional treatment you could think of, from B12, selenium, supplements, of trying to take her off of the bottled milk. My darling husband going out to the barn, milking the mother, bringing the milk to me in bed so that I could tube feed this baby every 2 hours, a tablespoon. So I was putting the silicone tube down into her stomach and just little tiny bits, and she wasn't able to stand. It was at the 2-week mark, and she was skin and bones. She was wearing a sock that I had cut the toes off the sock and made her a sweater out of it. And she was sweet, she was loving, but she just didn't have any energy. Yeah. So we had done 24 hours of taking her off milk, electrolytes only, hoping to reset her system, back slowly into the milk. Wasn't working. I said to Audrey, like, I don't know what to do. We've tried everything. They said it's an uphill battle. Sorry about your loss. You've tried really hard, but there's nothing else we can do. And she said, put the glutathione in the milk. And I went, oh, okay. I put it in the milk. No word of a lie. It was 4 hours later. It was that evening she stood up on her own. And I thought that, this can't be real. Like, this is happening. And that was it. She just started increasingly getting better and stronger and drinking and absorbing nutrients. And now you saw the picture that we took of her yesterday. Now she's quite chunky and big. Yeah, no repercussions from that. But it was the
healthiest goat I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And probably quite grateful too, right?
She thinks she's a human. I think because she got to wear human diapers with a little hole cut in the back for her tail. And she lived in a playpen with puppy pads. And then as she got bigger, she ran around the house and slept beside the dog and came to the beach and went for picnics and car rides. And it took a while to reintroduce her back to the herd.
Yeah.
Because babies in the herd have their mom to protect them. So they go in the field and they run around and play together. But when the teenagers start coming around to pick on them or another mother, they have a defender. Their mom is their field defender. So Bibi's mom didn't accept her. So she thought I was her mom. So I would have to literally sit in the field and, try to convince her how to be a goat and play with the other goats. And then we actually said, no more in the house. Once the overfilled the diaper, that was the going back to the barn moment.
I seriously want to see the videos of you out in the field being a goat.
Yes, there is. There's proof. Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, and then once her mom accepted her, and they're just now she's just one of the bosses. I think now she is pretty spoiled.
So, what did your vet say about all this?
He's just thought it was kind of incredible that she made the turnaround. But I have had 2 other goats in that time period since Bibi's been born, since we had her story, that she's 2 more that have had the same kind of miraculous recovery after we had tried everything else. So the lesson for me is stop trying everything else and just try this first. Like, why do I go through all of the trouble of trying all the regular stuff until they're, not going to make it?
The bottom line is that, and it doesn't matter if it's human or animal, is that glutathione is the most important molecule. Everything else revolves around that. And if you can't assimilate nutritional factors, whether it's vitamin A or vitamin B or vitamin C or whatever, typically it's because you have low glutathione. So it only makes sense that you start with the kingpin, you don't start with the pawn. You know what I mean? It's just doesn't make sense. So yeah, it's you're bang on.
Yeah, we learned this now.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
We've all learned that. Yeah, we've all gone through it. So did you tell your vet by chance what you did to the goat, like what you gave her?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's aware.
After
we videoed this, I might just email him this and remind him.
Nice. Good idea.
There's such a huge opportunity for veterinarians and clinicians of all kind to really positively affect people's lives and animals' lives, right? Whether they're trainers in when it comes to the animal kingdom, so to speak, whether it's they're trainers with horse races or race horses rather, or dog racers or kennels and breeding kennels and things like that. The health of livestock. Imagine. Yeah.
It's incredible how much they want it when you're giving it to them. And that sounds kind of funny, but with horses, they hate when it comes to dewormer time. Anything that you're squirting in their mouth, they're like, oh, gross. And they lift their head up and you have to kind of jam it in and squirt it back as far as you can. And then they're mad at you for till you bring out more cookies. But with the product, this glutathione, even the goats, the dog, the horses, as soon as you have it, like I put it in a syringe and suck some up to put in their mouth. and
Right.
they suck it out of the syringe. Like you barely have to press the plunger because they
know what makes them feel good.
They do.
You know what? Animals don't lie. Neither do kids. And that's the thing here. If anybody wants to see just how good this stuff is, you give it to a child or you give it to an animal that's suffering, and watch how fast they come back for more. Right? But so it's just an incredible experience to go through something like that and see all these things. Now, back to yourself for a second here, because it just blows me away when I saw that picture of you before first time, and you said you were 5'3". I went, ooh, that's a load to bear. And you simply just do not look like that lady anymore. Your husband must be over the moon.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Change his own life.
Yeah.
What's that, sorry?
He's ready to change his life too.
Oh,
Yes.
right on. Good. Well, that's how it works, right?
How it works.
How you affect people. So, yeah.
So to be clear on the weight loss part of it, so I had, if I've lost 80 pounds in total, I'd lost the first, 50, 55, and then got really stuck for 2 years, no matter what I did. And low iron, low energy, it wasn't working. So once I started taking the current glutathione 15 months ago, I felt so good that I stopped caring so much about how hard I was trying. Like I got rid of my Fitbit. I deleted the apps off my phone. No more carb manager, no more macronutrients. I didn't want to be, having reminders of having to write everything out. It's time consuming. So I essentially stopped trying. And all of the things that I had not eaten in the previous years, dare I say, potato chips when the kids have them, or a scoop of mashed potatoes with my dinner instead of just vegetables and meat. If I stopped at the gas station, I might have had a butter tart and even birthday cake and Christmas food.
Just don't make a habit of it.
All of the naughty things, but not continuously. I still have a clean diet for the most part, but it's not obsessively clean. I'm allowing myself to have that birthday cake because I'm here to gathering, part of the singing, part of the, it's part of the enjoyment. I don't have to be the outsider that says, oh, I can't have any of that. If there's a pizza, I might not be eating a half a pizza or a whole pizza, but I'm definitely going to have a slice. So that being said, in the last year, I was kind of surprised to lose another 25 pounds from the 195 and get down to 170. Like this is the first time I've been this weight since before I had my kids. And I thought, it's great. I feel fantastic. But until I got on, you've seen the graphs, until I got onto the body composition scale and realized that there was internal results, that's what has just blown my mind. I couldn't have expected any of that.
Yeah.
Like not only have I lost weight at a continuous rate without obsessively trying, but a lot of the health issues that I had been suffering with, I had completely forgotten about, and put on muscle, higher protein, higher water content, like all of the good things, but the fat loss, like the visceral fat. Yeah. It's like I didn't even really understand until I had watched a show recently talking about how important visceral fat around your organs is and how that affects your health more than the size of your pants.
Yeah, for sure.
The fat around your organs. So I thought, Well, out of curiosity, I looked and went, I lost a third of it. Like it was 17, and then it was 15, and then it was 10, and now it's 5. And I thought, like, that's no wonder I feel so incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, when you talk about that struggle to lose weight and you get on that plateau and you just can't seem to break through, excuse me, the thing about it is your metabolism had basically stopped. And in order for your metabolism to even function, you need optimal levels of glutathione. It won't digest, and even digestion itself, which is obviously the core of your metabolism, doesn't function properly. Absorption doesn't function properly. Sugar transfer into the cells doesn't, and utilization doesn't happen properly without ample levels of glutathione in your cells. So when you talk about the nano form of glutathione that you've been utilizing, that Audrey introduced you to, the key thing about that is its availability into the blood. It doesn't have to go through the GI tract, which means it doesn't get destroyed like other supplements do. And it doesn't have to be broken down by the body to get into the blood, and it's small enough to get directly into the cells, so your mitochondria in the cells can actually use it, which means your cells are naturally just going to ramp up production of ATP, which is your energy, which makes you feel good, which says, hey, I can get out there and I can work those extra hours and I can do more things. And so you become more active. So not only does your metabolism function better, but you're moving and you're consuming that energy, and that just gets the whole snowball rolling, right? So that's all it is.
We didn't know, though, that it would affect the visceral fat to that degree.
Oh, yeah.
But it makes sense now.
Yeah, for sure. So that was really cool. So now I'm trying to think, was there any other big experiences that you had, or was that it was?
Well, I had been suffering with the dreaded high cortisol levels.
Oh, right.
And so I had forgotten that I was waking up until just got asked by the doctor last week. Are you still waking up and having this massive fever drenched with sweats? And I went, no, I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm. Well, cortisol levels actually affect your weight gain too, right? And so it's all tied together, right? So no night sweats,
nothing
whatsoever. It just kind of went away and you completely forgot about
it. It did.
Literally anti-aging.
And same as foot pain. Like, I thought foot pain, and it sounds funny to say, I'm 44. I have always been, on my feet working in a restaurant or in the barn. And so I just assumed that foot pain, the extra weight didn't help, but I just figured that the foot pain was part of being on your feet for 12 plus hours a day. That when you get in bed later, that shooting nerve pains are just kind of normal. And it's funny when you remember back to how it used to be. And that I really do feel incredible. I want to go, today I went horseback riding, like all of the things that I love to do that I just didn't have enough energy for. And the recovery after, like if I'm in the barn working and I do 30 wheelbarrow loads of manure at a time, it used to put me out for a couple days of doing light duty, we'll call it, just to recover. And then now it's the next day I say, oh yeah, I forgot I was working in the barn yesterday. Like it's very different compared to what it used to be.
Very good. So I'm again, we really appreciate you getting on here to share your story with everybody, because it makes a difference in somebody else's lives, right? In another person's life. They run into this video and it may just be that thing that suddenly one day it explodes and so many people go, that story touched me and I've got to try it. And then the next thing you know, that person's life changed, right? And you never know how many people's lives you're going to change, right? So You got a great story. Thank you very much for sharing it. It's been a pleasure. If anybody wants to unmute at this point, if they have questions specifically for Janice. No?
Thanks, Janice, for sharing your story.
It's fabulous to share just not only your story, but the story of your goat and the animals. I mean,
Yep.
those stories speak for themselves, what we have in our hands, because they can't talk for us, but boy, and they can't lie either. So they just come right out with the truth and they start living. So
I have one question for you, Janice. You mentioned, and this is, because there might be somebody that has animals or whatever might run into this thing and they want to try it on their animals, especially with the nano product. That's a really good product for animals. Much easier even than using a precursor type glutathione supplement. But you mentioned about using a syringe and shooting it down the horse's throat or whatever. Have you tried using a spray bottle and misting it in their mouth?
I have not.
Okay, just a thought, because I haven't done it yet myself, but I think that might actually be an option that would work, because being nano, it's going to absorb in the mucous membranes just like it does with us.
Yeah.
Horses, it's not that critical, let's say, because they have a long throat, right? So I mean, it's likely going to absorb before it hits the stomach, right? But some animals that are smaller, maybe a dog or a cat, if you spray it in their mouth, they're going to lick at it, and that might soak in better and give them more of an effect, right? So might be something to try. Just take the bottle and put on a little pump and spritz their gums and whatnot with it, right?
Yeah. Well, my dog takes it off of a plate.
Right.
So I just pour, a capful onto a plate, and then he, cleans it off. Like he doesn't leave any behind. He begs when I'm taking it. He comes and sits beside me, like, "Oh, give me some in a plate." So he licks it off the plate. But I also have a cat. I get suckered into taking a lot of animals that don't have homes, and so feral cats are a weakness. I might have 6 cats, 4 in the house and 2 in the barn. But this one cat, she had shown up with kittens. Somebody rescued her, got her fixed. She had been living in like a dog kennel office. And when I told the dog kennel, they said, "We have nowhere for this cat to go." So I said, "Oh, I suppose she could be an extra barn cat." But she was so lovely, she convinced me that she needed to come to the house too. And once she came in the house, I noticed that there was blood in her urine. So again, the search, you go to the vets and deal with, is it a bacterial thing or what is it? A lot of money, a lot of tests to find out that she was completely full of crystals in her bladder. Like when they did the x-ray, it looked like fish gravel. Like it was just full. And that was what was causing her to have the blood in her urine. And that luckily she was a female versus a male. So they have a larger, area to void some of these. If you can kind of break up get the pH of the cat right, then they can kind of process some of these stones on their own. And what do you do with a free cat that you've spent about, $1,500 on, and you don't want to do surgery? So I gave her this glutathione, and I found I had to go and buy the tiniest little plastic dropper. So then, and cats are notorious for not really liking anything in their mouths that they haven't put there themselves. Mm-hmm. So she wasn't as willing as the dog to take it off of the plate, but I sat on her and did what I had to do and gave her this wonderful product, and the blood went away and there was no surgery required. And, so even my cat, little Princess Peach, has had her story with glutathione that saved me from taking her back to the vet again.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really encouraging because I broke my right ankle a few years ago, just missed the bottom step of the basement, and it broke in 4 places. And I was in, oh my God, I had metal plates on both sides of the ankle 1 year, and then I couldn't put a shoe on, even like a running shoe. So they had to take the metal plates out. So I've had like 2 surgeries on my right ankle, and then last October I decided, why not make the other one the same? And I fractured it in 4 places. Not broke it, but fractured it in 4 places, which is even harder for the body to heal it. And I used to do around 5K with my dog every day. And since this fracture, I have not been able to go. I've literally maybe 4 weeks ago started walking just around the block. And today I went down to the beach because I know the sand doesn't hurt my ankle as much. So we were down at the beach for about 40 minutes, just walking up and down the beach. And from what you're telling me, Janice, so what happened with your broken ankle? How did that help you?
Majorly, it was pain relief. Like once the inflammation was taken care of, I still did everything in my power mentally because I knew I needed it to be fixed. And instead of thinking that it was going to be broken and, not strong, that I was going to send extra minerals to that spot and envision them filling in that crack. And that, I've heard that breaks can actually be stronger than the previous, than it was before. So I did the physio and I did all the stuff to build the muscle and make it strong. Like I can't say I didn't put in the work, whether it was the diet, the goats, or the foot, but it really made the big difference when it came to not having swelling and pain.
Yeah, because that's what I'm really struggling with right now is pain, because I'm doing all the physio exercises, I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing, and I just cannot get rid of the swelling and the pain. And I have been off work since October, and we're now mid-March.
Oh, so this is recent, like in
recent.
recent.
Oh my God! Yeah. This was last October. It was.
Okay.
We had so much rain one day, and then the following day it was like gusty, like 60-kilometer winds. And the weather here can change so much because we're so close to the water. So the lake, that 1 minute it might be beautiful, the next minute it's pouring with rain. So that's what I was having trouble with. So all the leaves fell off, and this was my 3rd walk of the day with the dog. And as soon as I started walking, I got to this patch of leaves, which I walked on earlier. I slipped and there was nowhere for me to go except down. And as I was going down, I heard a crunch. So I knew I did something stupid.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So Janice, how much during the most of the supplements they give you a suggested daily serving type thing, right? So were you doing the standard serving at all, or were you doing more? What was your?
I doubled, but I doubled when I was dealing with the foot, and it's been a bit of a coaster of different things because, hey, my body wants to heal things that it had been holding on to for years.
Right.
So, when I had a crown tooth that was causing me a lot of trouble, gums had receded, it was a gum boil, which is very unpleasant. I then was taking the glutathione 6 to 8 times a day because I had, such a severe problem. But the results come with the hard work, right? Like, if it's something like if I was to do a bunch of extra work, and that'll be the day that I'll take some extra. If there was a stressful event happening, I will take some extra. Like I never miss a dose, morning and night, guaranteed 15 months of every single morning, every single night. That is, and I don't have to set an alarm for it because I wouldn't dare miss it.
Yeah.
I have to set alarms for everything else in my life except for that.
Yeah, I'm very much the same thing. If I've got issues like, because I have a lot of rhinitis and allergies and all that kind of stuff, and when I'm down, if I'm tired especially, that's when they flare up. That's when I take it, right? I'll most days I take it twice a day. Some days I'll take it 3 times a day. There might even be a day where I'll go 4 times a day, right? So in the case of somebody like what you're talking about, Boopy, is I personally, if I was in your position, would be taking it 3 times a day, because you got to heal those bones and the tendons and everything that have been, stretched out and so on and so forth, right? The other thing you can do is there's 2 products in particular. One is the oral supplement. The other is meant as a skin supplement, but it works phenomenal on bruises and cuts and burns, and it penetrates deep into your muscle tissue. So I would use the 2 of them together. In fact, there's a marathon runner here in Toronto that went over to meet with a friend of ours in Japan, and they ran the Tokyo Marathon, and he was suffering with inflammation in his calf muscle. He couldn't get rid of it. And so not only was he taking the oral, but he was literally soaking his calf muscle in that topical product.
Okay. Yeah, because obviously I've never had weight issues until I moved to Canada. Well, since breaking my ankle a few years ago, and then I got myself back to my weight that I was before that. And then since October, oh my God, I cannot. Obviously, I'm not exercising because I can't do it. So the weight has just crept on, and it's driving me crazy because I am probably about 40 pounds over what I normally am. So
okay, Boopy. So we're going to be excited to have your story on here next.
Yeah.
so many broken things.
But I understand that with the not being able to exercise, like being in bed, I was eating salads in bed and still went back from 190 when I was exercising up to 225 again, eating salads because I was stuck in bed and it just wasn't working. Like
I've never in my entire life, even when I was pregnant, been this weight. So it's for me it's a big issue, especially because we have heart disease in my family on my dad's side. So I want to crack this while I can before it gets any worse.
For sure.
So and then after I saw how the change in Janice, because I've known Janice forever since Preston Fish and Chips, right? So I said, okay, what did you do? How did you do this?
All right, folks, we're going to have to cut this short because there's another meeting coming up here in about 8 minutes, and we are way over time on this. But that's okay because there's so much information here that Janice had to share with us. And again, we totally appreciate it. Glad you're, feeling as good as you're feeling and looking as good as you're looking. And let's just hope that this gets out there and reaches a whole lot of people.
Thanks.
Yep.
Have a great night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night, guys.
Good night.